The suitcase lay open on my bed. I folded clothes in silence, pretending not to shake. My father's voice still echoed down the hall. Every word burned behind my ribs. I reached for my documents, the ones I always kept safe. Receipts, bills, pay stubs, proof of every sacrifice. But under them was something strange. An envelope with my father's name. Old paper, not digital like the rest. I opened it and froze. A bank statement. Balances higher than I had ever seen in months. 5,000, then 6, then 7. Each month growing, while my savings vanished. He had a secret account. Money he hid while I covered the bills. I flipped through more pages, hands trembling. Then I found the brochure. A fishing boat, brand new, delivery after Thanksgiving. My throat tightened. He was buying himself freedom with my exhaustion. I pressed my palm against my chest to steady my breath. The world tilted but didn't fall. Betrayal had weight, and it landed hard. Then I heard a soft knock. My sister stood by the door, eyes red. "You're leaving?" she asked. Her voice was small, unsure. I nodded without looking up. "Dad said they need your room for storage." The words hit harder than any insult. "Storage," I repeated, almost laughing. She bit her lip, then whispered, "He's been planning this. They waited until you paid everything for November." The air in the room thickened. "You knew?" I asked. Tears welled in her eyes. "I was scared," she said. "If I told you, he'd throw me out too." I wanted to hate her but couldn't. She was still trapped where I had been. There was more fear than guilt in her face. "Mom's doctor visits," she continued, hesitating. "She said no straws for 2 days." I frowned. "That wasn't a checkup," she whispered. "It was fillers." The words sliced clean through the fog. My mother's lies joined my father's greed. I sat on the floor and laughed once, hollow and tired. I showed her my bank balance on my phone. $700 left. 3 months ago, I had 9,000. "This is what's left," I said quietly. "If I'd stayed, I'd have nothing." She looked away, ashamed. "Dad said if you take anything, he'll call the police." I glanced around at the things I bought. The desk, the laptop, the refrigerator. My money in every corner of this house. He could keep the walls. The walls were all he ever built. I pulled out a shoebox filled with receipts. Proof of what was mine. Every paper a small piece of truth. I stacked them neatly, one on top of another. When I looked at my sister again, I saw fear and hope. She asked softly, "What will you do?" I met her eyes. "Leave," I said, and finally stop paying for their lies. The city was quiet when I left. My car smelled like dust and fear. Boxes filled the backseat, stacked to the roof. Everything I owned fit into that space. I didn't look back at the house. I drove until the lights disappeared in the mirror. Lynn opened her door before I knocked. She didn't ask questions, just hugged me. "Stay as long as you need," she said. Her couch became my new bed, my new start. That night, I stared at the ceiling, numb. Freedom felt heavy, not light. Every sound outside made me flinch. My phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from relatives. Voicemails from my mother. They all said the same thing. "You broke your parents' hearts." No one asked what really happened. They believed his version. I deleted each message without reading the rest. Lies didn't deserve space on my screen. The next morning, I made a list. Accounts, bills, names. Everything I needed to reclaim. I called the bank first. I'd like to remove myself from shared accounts. The woman on the line sighed. "Family trouble?" she asked softly. "Something like that," I said. By noon, my name vanished from every bill. Electricity, internet, insurance, all theirs now. My hands shook as I confirmed the last one. For the first time, I wasn't paying their way. That night, Lynn came home from her shift. She found me surrounded by paperwork. Operation Freedom, she teased gently. Almost done, I said. The words felt strange but good. She poured 2 cups of tea and sat beside me. You did more for them than they'll ever admit. I nodded but said nothing. Part of me still wanted their approval. It was a reflex I couldn't kill overnight. Then my phone rang again. It was my aunt. Your father says you abandoned them, she snapped. He said you left after a fight, no warning. I closed my eyes. The lie had already spread. They kicked me out, I said calmly. She paused, unsure. Maybe you should apologize anyway, she said. I ended the call. Peace doesn't come with explanations. Later, Lynn's roommate, Nam, came home with his dog. The golden retriever ran straight to me. He dropped a tennis ball at my feet. Nam grinned. He thinks you need a friend. I laughed for the first time in days. The sound startled me. It felt foreign but alive. When the dog nudged my hand, I let him stay. Simple kindness broke through the noise. That night, I lay awake again. This time, the fear had softened. I had no home, little money, and no plan. But the silence was mine. The bills were theirs. And for the first time, I didn't owe anyone anything. It started with pounding on the door. 3 sharp hits that made the walls tremble. Lynn looked up from her book, startled. I knew that rhythm instantly. My father's anger had its own sound. Don't answer, Lynn whispered. But I was already standing. The pounding grew louder, harder. Open this door right now, he shouted. My stomach turned cold. I peeked through the peephole. His face was red, wild, eyes blazing. I could almost smell the beer on his breath. You think you can walk away, he yelled. Lynn grabbed her phone, calling security. The doorframe shook under his kicks. This is my daughter, he roared. Family business. I stepped back, heart racing. Not fear, something sharper. Anger. A guard's voice echoed from the hallway. Sir, step away from the door. My father turned, shouting curses. Moments later, police sirens wailed outside. Through the peephole, I watched him resist. 2 officers took his arms. He struggled, shouting my name. You're destroying this family. The words barely touched me. The police led him away, handcuffed. I stood in silence, shaking but steady. Lynn touched my shoulder. Do you want to press charges? Her voice was gentle but firm. I nodded slowly. Yes, I'm done being afraid. An officer named Nguyen took my statement. I told him everything. The threats, the harassment, the money. He listened, eyes serious, pen moving fast. Would you like a restraining order? He asked. Yes, I said again. The word felt powerful. Later, I sat on the couch, numb. Lynn handed me tea with honey. Her dog climbed into my lap, warm and heavy. Outside, sirens faded into night. I stared at the blank wall, trying to breathe. Then my phone buzzed again. A message from my mother. I had to pawn your laptop and camera. You owe us $300 for the electric bill. I read it twice, disbelief turning to fury. Those were worth thousands. I called the police again. Officer Nguyen returned the next morning. He examined my receipts, serial numbers, dates. This qualifies as theft, he said. We'll contact the shop. For once, the system worked for me. That evening, messages flooded my phone. Relatives pretending concern. Aunts saying they never knew it was so bad. Their sympathy came too late. Truth travels slower than gossip. Still, it reached them at last. My mother's text arrived just before midnight. You embarrassed us. Drop the complaint and come home. I stared at the words until the screen dimmed. Then I typed back only one thing. Home was never safe. I set the phone down and closed my eyes. For the first time in years, the darkness felt peaceful. No shouting. No guilt. Only quiet. The call came on a gray morning. My mother's voice was calm, rehearsed. "I think we should talk," she said. Her tone was sweet like spoiled fruit. "If you drop that silly police report, you can come home." I didn't answer. Silence made her nervous. She filled it quickly. "Your room is still the same. We can forget all this nonsense." I could hear him breathing in the background. My father, listening, coaching her. "And Blair," she continued, catching herself. Your father and I are worried. You've been acting unstable. People might think something's wrong with you." There it was, the threat. Twist the story or be labeled crazy. I took a deep breath. "I have every receipt, every transfer, every message," I said. "If you want to discuss mental health, we can do it in court." The line went silent. Then she hung up. My hands shook, but not from fear this time. Power hummed through my veins. Later that day, Officer Nguyen called. "The pawnshop confirmed your items," he said. "They'll be returned within the week." Justice had a sound. It was quiet but solid. 2 days later, I drove to the old house. A police cruiser followed behind me. Officer Nguyen met me at the driveway. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. My mother opened the door, pale and stiff. She forced a smile for the officer. "We just want peace," she said. Inside, everything looked smaller. I walked straight to my room. Receipts and folders filled my bag. Proof of 6 months of survival. "Those belong to the family," my mother said sharply. I turned, holding up papers. "Paid by me. Every cent." The officer glanced at the documents. "She's right, ma'am," he said. My mother's mouth tightened, but she said nothing. Then my father arrived. He pulled into the driveway, driving my spare car. My car. The one I bought myself. He stepped out, jangling the keys with a smirk. "We need to talk about what you owe us," he said. I opened my folder again. "This is the title," I replied. "It's in my name." The officer extended his hand. "Sir, hand over the keys." My father's face turned gray. He muttered, "I paid for her school." I raised her. "Keys," the officer repeated. The jingle of surrender echoed louder than his words. He dropped them into the officer's palm. For the first time, he looked small. Deflated. I took the keys, steady as stone. "If you come near me again, I'll file a restraining order," I said. No shouting. No tears. Just truth. I loaded the last box into my trunk. Neighbors peeked through curtains, pretending not to stare. When I turned the key in the ignition, my hands didn't shake. In the mirror, I saw them fatting behind me. The house, the lies, the weight. Ahead, the road was open and bright. The first morning in my new apartment felt unreal. Light spilled across the floor, soft and golden. No voices, no footsteps, no tension in the air. Just quiet. I made coffee in a chipped mug Lynn had given me. It tasted stronger than usual. Maybe freedom has flavor. I unpacked slowly, box by box. Each item found a place without permission. A desk by the window. Books stacked on a single shelf. Bills lined up neatly on the counter, all in my name. Electricity, water, internet, renter's insurance. Everything clean, organized, and finally mine. The silence didn't scare me anymore. It hummed like peace. At night, I painted one wall deep teal. The brush strokes felt like reclamation. I didn't ask if anyone liked the color. For the first time, I didn't need approval. The room smelled of paint and possibility. Days turned into weeks. I worked extra hours, saving what little I could. My savings grew slowly, number by number. Security had a shape now, small but real. Sometimes, memories still crept in. His shouting, her guilt their control. But I breathed through it. Pain became background noise. Lynn visited often, bringing leftovers and laughter. "Your place feels lighter every time," she said. I smiled, meaning it. "I think I finally stopped carrying them." Her dog, Bao, curled at my feet, snoring softly. He had become my unofficial roommate. One night, I opened a letter from the court. The restraining order was approved. Final, legal binding. I slept through the night for the first time in months. The world outside could no longer touch me. I started journaling again, writing small goals on sticky notes. Save 3 months' rent. Buy a plant. Cook dinner without guilt. Each goal felt like healing, disguised as routine. By the end of winter, I laughed easily. Not the brittle kind, but warm and unforced. One afternoon, I met my sister for coffee. Vi looked different, lighter too. "She's applying for college," she said proudly. I helped her with the forms. The same way I once helped pay the bills. But this time, it wasn't sacrifice. It was choice. We talked about everything and nothing. She told me they still blamed me for the chaos. I just nodded. Some stories don't deserve correction. When we hugged goodbye, I felt no guilt. Only calm. That night, I stood on my balcony watching the city glow. Wind brushed my hair, cool and kind. I realized I didn't miss the past. Not the noise, not the control, not even the false peace. I missed who I used to be before them. But now she was coming back, stronger, quieter, free. I turned off the lights and smiled into the dark. It finally felt like home. A year passed before I noticed the date. Thanksgiving again. The word no longer hurt. It tasted different now, like quiet satisfaction. I woke early, sunlight spilling through white curtains. The apartment smelled faintly of cinnamon and coffee. I roasted a small turkey in my tiny oven. No pressure, no audience, no pretending. Every sound was my own rhythm. Lynn arrived first with dessert. Her laughter filled the space like music. Then came Vi, my sister, arms full of groceries. She looked older, confident, unafraid. College had changed her. Or maybe freedom had. "You cooked again," she teased. I nodded, this time for the right reasons. We set the table together. Mismatched plates, second-hand forks, a cracked glass. Imperfect but honest. Lynn raised her cup. "To chosen family," she said. "To boundaries worth keeping." We clinked glasses, simple and sure. For the first time, I didn't count the cost of anything. No mental ledger of who paid what. Just gratitude that I was here, still whole. Vi helped slice the turkey, humming softly. Her smile reminded me of who I once was. Gentle, hopeful before fear took over. Later, as we washed dishes, she spoke quietly. "Dad and Mom lost the house," she said. Her voice carried no triumph, only sadness. "They're staying with Uncle Min now." I dried a plate and placed it down carefully. "They'll find a way to survive," I said. "Maybe now they'll learn what that really means." Vi hesitated. "They still blame you," she whispered. "I know," I said. Blame was their language. I no longer spoke it. She glanced at a small stack of unopened envelopes. "All from them. You ever gonna read those?" "Not yet," I said. Some doors stay closed for a reason. Outside, the city glowed under winter light. I made tea while she filled out scholarship forms. Her pen moved quickly, sure of every line. "You're really good at this," she said, smiling. "You taught me to do things for myself." The words settled in my chest, warm and deep. We talked about her classes, her new friends. She laughed easily, freely. The sound felt like healing. When she left that night, the apartment fell quiet again. I didn't feel lonely. I felt steady. I opened the window and breathed in cold air. Somewhere, a neighbor played soft jazz. It drifted through the hallway, tender and slow. I thought about forgiveness, not the kind that invites people back, but the kind that sets you free. The past was still there, but it no longer ruled me. I had built a life without permission. A small, imperfect, beautiful life. I turned off the lights and looked at the moon. "Thank you," I whispered. Not to them, but to myself. For choosing peace over belonging. For surviving, and then finally living. Morning light touched the walls softly. I woke without dread, without waiting for voices. The apartment was silent, but never empty. Every sound belonged to me now. I brewed coffee, watched the steam rise and twist. Bills sat neatly on the counter, paid and calm. My name on each one, no one else. The weight of old debts no longer followed me. Outside, the world hummed with quiet promise. I opened the window and let the air in. It smelled of rain and beginnings. On the desk, a photo of Vi and me smiled back. Two faces free from obligation. I had learned that love without respect is only control. And family without kindness is just habit. Some wounds never close, but they stop bleeding. I no longer needed an apology to move on. Peace was not something they could give me. It was something I had built myself. One choice at a time. One boundary at a time. The sun climbed higher, bright and steady. I took a deep breath, steady and whole. Home, finally, was not a place. It was the quiet inside my own heart.